Hello, my fellow humans. Welcome back to Scatter Love Tarot, with your girl coming at you with another pick a card reading. We're all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. We do things completely differently here, so with that being said, if the messages resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Now, at times, there are things that come up that may be triggering in the readings. There is no obligation to force it to fit, and also keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If you are interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need below in the description box. So let us hop to our prayer and we'll get your reading underway, which today we are doing what you need to hear right now. My beloved source, this prayer is for anyone and everyone who comes on to this reading, whether it's for the entire time or for a moment's time. Today we're looking for that guidance, that clarity that we need to move forward. It's been a really trying time as the end of the year is coming, and sometimes things feel a little hectic and chaotic. We're putting family into the mix. We're dealing with possibly, potentially toxic relationships that we thought we wouldn't have to continue to deal with. We're dealing with people who are coming back into our lives. We're dealing with the idea of keeping up with consumerism at this time and maintaining things that may not necessarily be important, but somehow, some way, shape, or form, they may hold on to us and keep us in repeat cycles that are holding us back from embracing our inner truth and wisdom. We're coming into that place of silence and solitude and inner standing of the journey that we're on. These things that may be keeping us from expressing or experiencing love, and rather keeping us in a place of doubt, worry, and fear. So today I ask that you lighten the journey for us, lighten the load, remove the burden from our shoulders, and help us to stand tall and to stand courageous in this here now here moment as our highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. As these words are spoken upon this tribe and onto this reading, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. So let me go ahead and get that set up over here. All right, so I felt like it was fitting to pull out these cards. I don't use these cards very often. I wish I brought them out more. So we're going to be using the Fairy Blessing cards that I have by Lucy Cavendish. These cards are absolutely gorgeous. So let me go ahead and put this over here. All right. What you need to hear right now. So source, what Fairy Blessing cards are going to help us better understand this message of what my fellow humans need to hear right now? What you need to hear right now. Okay, thank you. What you need to hear right now. All right. Pile number 1. What Fairy Blessing card will help us better understand what you need to hear right now? Source, what would you like to come through for pile number 1? Whoa. Okay, they want that one. Whoa, sliding in. All right. Pile number 2. What Fairy Blessing card is going to help us better understand what you need to hear right now? Thank you, source. And pile number 3. What Fairy Blessing card is going to help us better understand what you need to hear right now? Whoa, these cards are just sliding in like crazy. Okay, collective energy on the bottom. We have a blessing of undo an unfortunate crisis. This is actually a really, really beautiful energy. To undo an unfortunate crisis, it's like you've been up against something and wondering how it is that you're going to make it out on the other side of this. It's unfortunate. It was out of your control. There was nothing that you could do to change the outcome. But it feels like there's something that's happening where it's almost like you either getting a redo or it's just canceling itself out. Like you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to fight anymore in this situation. You don't have to continue to try to claw your way out. You've done so much in regards to this situation. And I feel like Source is coming in reminding you that you made it through the other side, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. There might be a heavy weight on your heart still. There might be the worrisome thoughts and energy that's swirling around inside of you right now. But that is all going to settle. And once it settles, you're going to be able to see clearly in front of you that you got a helping hand in regards to this situation. Even if you have no idea where that hand came from, it does feel like it's coming from the spiritual realm, especially with this fairy reaching out to this mer fairy here. You know, it's like this is something that's coming from the Most High. This is something that's coming from the divine realm. This assistance that you've been begging for, that you've been asking for, that you have prayed for many, many times. And we have the 15 card here, and that breaks into the number 6. And 6 in numerology is all about unconditional love, resolution, solutions, you know, balance and harmony. So I do feel like you're stepping into a period where you're going to be seeing yourself with eyes of unconditional love, which means that you are no longer putting yourself on the back burner to appease the people in your life. You're putting yourself first. And I feel like this is something you've been working at for a long time, but there's no excuses now for you. Like, even if your mind starts to come up with an excuse, you're going to tell your mind, no, we can't deal with that. Not today. It's not going to happen. We have to take care of self-love. Also, I feel like with this, a blessing of undo an unfortunate crisis, how beautiful that 6 is the resolution. It is the solution. So let's see what this card says from the book. Says the fairy gift to help you work through difficult life patterns. This blessing will help you undo the impact of an unfortunate pattern within your life. Gaius is what the Celts believed we're born with, and a theme or a story that would be told over and over in our lives. Gifted us by the goddess Erenrod. Of course, often seen as a curse rather than a blessing. So when we have these patterns, these raveled up bits of our life that we seem to get caught up in and tangled within, like a web we keep getting pulled back into, the fairy can help us unravel it and come to a kind of peace with it. It does not mean we will no longer have that pattern or frailty, but we will be less hurt and harmed by it, for we all have our challenges, and it is how we deal with these challenges and the blessings we make of them that matters. The fairies can assist us in lightening up regarding our challenges. They can help us find a pathway that is less rocky and thorny and come into relationship with our own themes and stories. In this way, we come to a self-understanding and acceptance, and in that, we begin to activate the power within our story and our Gaius. With that, the fairies know that their gift to you of undoing the unfortunate crisis is done. I guess it's Gaius, my bad. I've been reading it as crisis, and that's funny. Anyways, I obviously saw it that way for purpose. It says, be uplifted, for we all have our story and challenges. We all have our troubles to face, and with this gift comes the way through to make the very most of what could be considered unfortunate. You will, with the blessing of the fairies and your own courage and spirit, make it through the other side, which is understanding. Yeah, what a beautiful energy that's coming in for you overall for the collective. It's just a new understanding of what's in front of you. No longer holding on to the hurt and the pain, but rather relinquishing that and saying, I'm going to step up into my own power this time around. There's no excuses. There's no going back. There's no wondering, is this the right thing for me? You're now coming into a position where you're saying yes. this is exactly who I am, and this is exactly what I'm going to do for myself. All right. So for pile number 1, we do have this dice with the 10th house on it for you to choose from. And it's 1010 as I was saying that. Wow, what a synchronicity. What a trip. We have this piece of rose quartz for you to choose from. Okay, we have for pile 2 this dice with the 5th house on it. We have this piece of blue apatite for you to choose from. And for pile number 3, we have this dice with the 11th house on it. We have this piece of grape agate for you to choose from. So we have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the one for you. And I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 10th house on it, or if you were called to this piece of rose quartz, or perhaps you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on what you need to hear right now. We are all here sharing this human experience together. This is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. And we do things differently here on this channel. So with that being said, if the messages happen to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Keeping in mind that triggering comments and triggering things might arise on the readings. However, there's no obligation to force it to fit. And a reminder that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. So with that, I'm honored to have you here today. Let's go ahead and hop to your reading and see what is it that you need to hear right now, pile 1. What do you need to hear right now? Source, what would you like to share with pile 1? What do they need to hear right now? Okay, so we've got the 12th house. We have Scorpio energy, and we've got Venus. There's an interesting energy here. It feels like you've been struggling to see yourself as lovable, as attractive, as deserving of people in your life, whether that's romantically or just like friends or anything like that. There's a sense of feeling like boring and out of touch with the world here with the 12th house and the Venus energy. It's like in the past you have been degraded, or you've been betrayed, or you've gone through some very difficult situations, and that has left a scar on your consciousness, and the ego is trying to protect you, and it has buried it deep down so that now it's in the subconscious, and it's become a pattern for you to believe that you're not worthy of having abundance and happiness and freedom and good things in your life. And I feel like you've dealt with people who have used their jealousy and their envy of you to target you, while also I feel like you have maybe given your power away to people and situations and circumstances because you couldn't see clearly your own internal power, and you couldn't see that you were capable of overcoming this without relying on something or someone else. And that's okay, pile one. That is totally human, and there's no need to beat yourself up. But I do feel like that comes with a lot of regret and a lot of guilt as well, because when you look back on your life, you're thinking, oh, what if I had just done this instead? Or what if I had said this instead? Then maybe my life would not be what it is now. However, as much as we would love to turn back time and to change the past, we are unable to do so. So what happened and what you experienced in that time was exactly as it was always going to be. Because if it wasn't, it would have been something else. And we can't wonder what would things be now? Right? So what if I did this? Now how things would be? We can't wonder that because it's not the way that it is. But for some reason, our little emotional ego thinks that if we ponder on this and brood on this, that it somehow brings about some sort of resolution. And the key here is self-love, seeing your self-worth, seeing yourself as somebody that is interesting, amazing, strong, and powerful, but also seeing yourself as someone that belongs. And this is something that's tied to all of your abundance in your life, which I know is so much easier said than done. But with practice, you will get better. And this is something about reclaiming your power and recognizing that when you believe in yourself, that's the only thing that matters, pile one. It's just been a little bit unclear. It's almost like you've been looking to others to validate you or say you're doing a good job, which that's very human of us. That's a very human response. We want to be doing a good job. We want people to recognize our value and our worth. But when we're not doing that for ourselves and we're asking someone else to recognize our value and our worth so that maybe we can do the same, it's an unfair balance. And that's why we have to do it first for ourselves. We have to see our value and our worth. And then what happens is people start to come into our lives that also appreciate, honor, and see us as we are, not who we could potentially be for them or what we could give to them. They see us for the powerful individual that we are. So what do you need to hear right now, pile one? Okay, thank you, Source. What do you need to hear right now? There's been a lot of injustice in your life. A lot of unbalanced situations. And maybe in some points you've been really stubborn. You didn't want to change. And that could be consciously, but that could also be subconsciously as well, right? So if you have a pattern that's repeating itself and you're trying to protect yourself from getting betrayed, that's the pattern. And that is the stubborn pattern that's coming through. But I do feel like you also have had times where you were knowingly stubborn as well. Yeah, there's something very dangerous that's lurking in the subconscious here. And it's been pressured by other people. It's like people have pushed this button in your psyche time and time again. Wow, I like this. I like this energy, actually. Not that this has happened to you, but what I like about this is that you're overcoming this negative energy. And it's step by step. It's been really difficult for you. And I feel like the thing is that a lot of with the spiritual journey, pile one, you know, everybody's talking about just be positive, just be positive, just be positive. And look, from personal experience, I've tried it. But no matter how we try to be positive, life still happens, and it's really hard to be 1,000% positive all the time. It doesn't mean that we can't hold a positive outlook, right? But holding a positive outlook versus forcing ourselves to stay in a positive place all the time are two vastly different things. Because how are you going to stay positive when you're crying? How are you going to stay positive when you're grieving? You're experiencing these emotions. You're experiencing this moment as it is. But recognizing and being realistic and knowing that this moment too shall pass, even if I'm not positive, that doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't mean that I did the wrong thing on my journey. It means that I'm experiencing what it is to live. And so sometimes we get this toxic energy where it's like, oh, just stay positive and you'll make it through. Sometimes it's just not the case. And I feel like with you, maybe there's been that energy where it's like, well, as long as I stay positive, I'll just get through it. I'll get over it. And I feel like believing things are going to work out versus staying positive are also vastly different. Because believing things are going to work out, that's a positive mindset, right? But again, staying positive is like you're crying, and instead of crying, you just start laughing. You end up turning hysterical because you're like, just trying to stay positive. But sometimes the human experience is less than positive. And just being aware of that is helpful for our journey. And I feel like this is something that's been weighing on your mind quite a bit. And it's making you feel like I can't get this out of my it's almost like your soul memory is what it feels like. It's coming in. I can't get this out of my soul memory. So there's like a repeat situation that keeps arising. And it's something that either reminds you of a trauma that you went through, or it's a repeat of the trauma. It's continuing to repeat in your life. And there's this feeling of helplessness that's coming through where it's like, no matter what I do, I cannot get through this situation. And I feel like there's something that you have grabbed onto from the spiritual journey, and I'm not saying that people are wrong or everybody's wrong and I'm the only one that's right. That's not the case at all. But I do feel like there are some toxic patterns that arise, even in the spiritual journey. You know, when we're telling people just get over it, or just do this, or just do that, and we're telling people you shouldn't be angry or you shouldn't be feeling this. Like, we can't tell you how to feel, right? Like, I can't tell you how to feel, pile one. You feel how you feel. But rather than projecting that feeling onto others, it's where you come into this place of understanding that feeling. Like, okay, I realize that getting into this type of situation is going to make me feel this way. And understanding that is what lessens the blow. And that's what they're saying here. So Source is just reminding you that you have everything you need to get through this situation. But where there's people outside of you that are playing this vital role in making you feel a certain way, or making your thoughts kind of go down this rabbit hole of, doubt and worry, and where everybody's just, it's almost like everybody's closing in on you from outside. And that's what's triggering this feeling. And this could be coming from the mother wound as well. You could be dealing with a Pisces. You could be a Pisces, a Libra, an Aquarius, a Scorpio, or Taurus. And you could have your moon in Pisces. You could have your moon in Scorpio. There's just this energy where they're weighing down on you, and that's what's exacerbating this already trauma that's there, and facing the fact that it's a part of your past. There's nothing you can do to change that, which we were getting from the beginning. Or rather, if I recognize that this is a part of who I am, instead of trying to eradicate it from me, then I can step into a space of accepting myself as a whole being right now. Because it's almost like your emotional ego is saying here, we cannot accept this part of ourselves because this is ugly, it's not beautiful, it's not positive, it's not this, it's not that. But whenever you're not accepting a part of yourself because of whatever label we've placed on it, or whatever label maybe society has placed on it, we're not seeing ourselves as the whole complete being that we are. And we're saying that there's a part of us that doesn't deserve to be loved, which is that's the illusion. They're saying that there's this part of you deserves love. It deserves acceptance. It deserves your attention. It deserves your presence for the sake of that integration, not for the sake of reliving it over and over again. And how do we get into that state of being present with it? Is just honoring your feelings and your emotions. If you're resentful, if you're angry, if you're in a state of hatred, if you're in a state of grief, if you're in whatever emotion is arising, recognizing that that's okay. And I feel like sometimes people are like, well, forgiveness, because forgiveness is forgiving ourselves for two things: allowing ourselves to agree to a situation that we knew wasn't good for us, and overstaying our welcome in that situation. But also forgiveness of ourselves is what helps us to forgive others. If we can't forgive ourselves, we'll never be able to forgive others and free ourselves from the shackles of the emotions that have been tied to past traumas. Those will always be an anchor in our lives if we cannot forgive ourselves, right? And it's not about forgetting what happened. It's literally coming into a state of alignment and peace and saying, I no longer want to hold on to this trauma. And that's what it feels like here. Yeah, okay, so this is a lot in your mind. I didn't even know this was on the bottom. We have the 9 of Swords here on the bottom in the reverse, and it's showing that there's been a lot of red flags that have come up that you yourself haven't been able to see because of the emotional attachment to the situation, the emotional attachment to the outcome. This could be just because there's the trigger that arises, and once the trigger arises, the emotions are heightened, and that's the only thing that's taking your time, your energy, and your effort is the heightened emotions. And rather than sitting with them, it's like I'm just trying to swim through and get to the other side as quickly as I can. But when the trigger arises, if you can sit with it, the discomfort, whatever it brings, then that's how you overcome this. And you will overcome this. Okay, this is something that is going to happen. Now, as for a time frame, it's going to depend on the person, right? Everybody's different. Everybody's going through a different part of their journey. And so trusting that it will happen when it happens, but also showing up for yourself. Look at this. The second house flying out of the deck here. We have physical security, possessions, material values, and self-worth. Everything that you want to manifest in this realm. The physical abundance, the security, the material values, the money, the stability, your self-worth, your self-love, all of that is tied to how you treat yourself. First and foremost, and that's why I say, like, I keep getting this energy in here where you've been really harsh on yourself. Maybe you compare yourself to others. Maybe you think, like, I should be somewhere where I'm not, rather than being present with where you are right now and finding a way to celebrate how far you've come right now, while also being present with what is troubling you. If you had a best friend in your life and they came to you with the troubles that you had on your mind, what would you do? Would you try to solve it for them, or would you get them a cup of tea and say, just tell me what's on your mind. Let's just sit here and let me help you get it off your chest. And I feel like most people, even though everybody wants to try and solve problems, but I feel like most people, when they're in that state of mind as a friend, it's just, I know my friend needs to vent. So be that friend to yourself. Vent. Talk to yourself. Write it down. Get it out. Get it off your chest. Even if you don't have someone you can trust and go to, you're that person you can trust and go to. On the bottom, look at this. Oh, I love this. And your guides and your ancestors, source coming through and saying, we're also here for you. Trine with angelic support, harmony, and perfect flow. We're helping you with this situation. We're helping you get through this. We're helping you let go. We're helping you find balance in an otherwise very unbalanced situation. A lot of nines here. We have 999 coming out. We have the 4 of Swords, the 5 of Swords, 9, the 9 of Swords, and the 18 card, which breaks into 9. So 999, this is about closing this situation out. You might see 999 a lot, or also the other thing is if you see 999 at any point in the day, focusing on what it is that's going through your mind, because that will give you clues on what it is that's been weighing so heavily on your heart. On the no. Oh my gosh, it's a number 9 card. It's the number 9. What? Whoa, that is next level. Thank you, Source. We have responding, not reacting. The only control we have is in how we respond to the hand we are dealt. Right? And look, I mean, they don't look happy in this card. It's not like, oh, it's perfect, it's peaceful, no, it's like, it seems like it's a troubling situation. That's life. There's nothing that we can do, Pile 1, that's going to rid us of the human experience. We're all born here to experience what it means to live in this life, and sometimes it's not fair, sometimes it's disheartening, sometimes it's absolutely incredibly troubling and horrifying. We cannot free ourselves from that. But what we can do is choose how we respond to the situation. We're the person we get to control. We're the one we get to control in all of this chaos. And I know sometimes it would just be easier if someone would come on and tell you, like, do this and everything will work out and everything will be the best of the best of the best. But the truth is that even at our best, even when everything is in alignment, even when we've gotten everything that we've wanted, it can still be taken away. Right? There's no guarantee that once we manifest what we want in our lives, that it's just ours. And that's sometimes, I think, just there's a very logical approach that Source is asking you to come from here. And it feels illogical because you've been trying to maintain this positive mindset, right? It's like almost like, oh, I can't feel anything negative because negative is bad. Negative is a part of the dualistic nature of the world. But we don't have to stay there, right? We don't have to stay there. But if you're stopping yourself from feeling anything that's potentially negative, the thing to remember is that you also block yourself off from feeling anything that is positive. Because you numb yourself to the negative emotions. Thus, you're now numbing yourself to the positive emotions. Okay? What the song, These Beautiful Things That I've Got, right? Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. I don't remember how all the words go. Whoa, oh. I don't know who sings it, but these beautiful things. And he's talking about, you know, this woman that he has in his life. And he's like, no one stands to lose as much as the one who stands to lose you. It's like realizing that I've been given these amazing things in my life. I have this woman that I love. My family loves her. Everything is good in our lives. But I also recognize that I have to maintain this gratitude for what I have, because what's been given to me can equally be taken away. And so it's like sometimes what happens is we'll manifest things in our lives and we take it for granted, and then we get so hurt when it gets taken away. We're like, oh, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And it's not that we did anything wrong. It's just that we could have practiced gratitude and presence in that moment, so that we could be really in the moment as it was with us. Okay, so we have faith that came out here with number 12. Trust your faith in the situation. Again, things are going to work out for you. There is a transformation that's at hand here. Honesty is essential with number 38 here. Speak with love and truth. Taking the mask off. Not trying to hide. Like, there's this feeling of trying to hide behind positivity. And I feel like it might have worked for a while, but it's starting to lose the impact that it had on your life. And there's this feeling like maybe I did something terrible, or I was a horrible person in a past life, or there's something that I did to hurt somebody, so now it's not as effective as it once was. And the truth is that we have to ourselves, we have to continue evolving. And in that evolution, the things that once worked for us when we started our journey aren't going to continue to work for us later in the journey. And that's okay. It's okay. We evolve. We get a deeper understanding of what it is that's working for us now. Yeah. Unfoldment, right? Once the dust settles, the clarity comes in. But in order to settle, you have to sit in stillness. So this is really just sitting with these uncomfortable thoughts at this moment. This is sitting with those uncomfortable emotions, not trying to change them, not trying to chase them away, but letting them be what they are and finding out more about yourself in that moment. Okay. Let's get one of these. Blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. I feel like the first thing you do is blame yourself when things go awry. You don't see it as this is life. You see it as, what the heck did I do wrong to deserve this? That's the first thing. And that's saying that that's coming from a childhood trauma where you shouldered the weight of everybody's problems. And after shouldering them for so long, everybody made everything your problem because it was easier to do that than it was to deal with it themselves. But do you notice we have a lot of yellow here? Light, medium, and dark yellow here. We see the shades of the solar plexus. This is about taking action for yourself. Okay, reconnecting with your personal power. On the bottom, growth, right? Again, yellow. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. We're talking about that evolution. All right, let's get an Akashic card and see what comes through for that. All right, what else? What do you need to hear, pile one? Take a chance. Okay, so we have, it's time to step outside your comfort zone. The world is waiting for you to take a chance. When you do, you'll be rewarded with newfound confidence and enthusiasm and will begin to attract new results. So stepping outside of your comfort zone, right? We were talking about that. Not everything is going to continue to work for you the way that it did when you first started. That's stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's always keeping, like, not falling into complacency is what's happening here. We have speak up. What are you not saying that's eating you up inside? You can't keep this in forever. It's time to let it out so you can move on and be happy. We talked about that too. Get it out. Talk to yourself. Write it down. Talk to source. Talk to your angels. Talk to your ancestors. Talk to somebody. Go see a therapist. None of these things are bad, but you need to get it off your chest. You need to talk it out. Okay? Emptied with 24 here. The ending and the beginning lie at either side of the same door. And right now, I got an image when I turn this over of a coin. And seeing a coin, oftentimes we only want to look at one side of the coin, but realizing that there's an opposite and equal side of the coin just around the corner. And so it's realizing that if you're only holding on to one thing, that there's an equal opposite to this one thing that you're holding on to if you're trying to ignore that. Again, we were talking about positive and negative emotions. So that could be with anything though, right? It could be a person, it could be a situation, it could be an experience, it could be a circumstance, it could be a trauma, right? So it could be any of those things. It's like I'm only trying to hold on to the positive and I don't want to even think about the negative. And it's like this life is filled with both the light and the dark. That's the contrast. If we choose to ignore the dark, we therefore relinquish our hold on the light. Nurturing, Gaia. Time to come back to this place of self-care. That has been such a powerful message for you today, pile one. So let's take a look at this card. We're going to read this from the book and see what it has to say for you. We have a blessing of the liminal space. All right, so what does this one say? Is this 25? So it must be 23. No. 28. Oh, their 8s are weird. I'm over here like, what? I don't know what's happening. Okay. This says, the fairy gift of gateways, sacred sites, and enchanted times. Dear fairy friend, you have received a great moment, the point where you can receive the blessing of the liminal space and time. The gateway, the moment, the choice is here. Let the liminal, the in-between, become more and more apparent to you. That's the silence, sitting in the stillness. May the blessings of the sunrises with their dawn colors and sweet beginnings be yours. May the sunsets with their richness and splendor and their message of coming rest be yours too. May the in-between spaces, the places where the fairies can reach you so easily and where you can discover your own inner magic, be yours. To be blessed with the liminal is to be blessed with the deeper magic of the natural world and to have the ability to step outside of the human rush and stress and worry and deeply experience the quiet spaces within nature that are so often offered, yet so rarely accepted. Find yourself within the sacred grove with the old, wise trees. Find the space between the worlds and walk a while with the guides and fairy kin who love you and wish to be of assistance to you. Find your way into the magic of your own life and soul. And leave behind the push and the stress that strips the world of its magic. May your intuition flow easily and accurately. May there be a deep sense of peace and trust within the world. And may you know that there is an abundant well of magic and fairy wisdom awaiting you every day, every hour, within these sacred spaces and places. Find the space in between. Find the magic that dwells within. Find the fairy circle in the field and let yourself be blessed again and again with the blessing of the enchanted ones, the sacred space that lie all about us. Blessings of the liminal to you, fairy friend. So coming into that liminal space, that in between, that quiet space, and learning just what it is that maybe you've been running from, or maybe that has been trying to give you the exact information that you need, while letting go of trying to hold on to only one aspect of the journey and opening up to the entirety of the experience of what it means to be human. So this is what I see here for you today, pile one. If you feel like this is your message, leave the little crescent moon emoji down below and say, I choose to observe the whole of my emotions, knowing that this is what it means to be here on this earth at this time. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my guides for coming together to give us this beautiful message. And remember, you're doing an amazing job. And until next time, pile number one, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 5th house on it, or if you were drawn to this piece of blue apatite, or perhaps you were called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on what do you need to hear right now. We are all here sharing this human experience together, and that this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic selves. And we do things differently here on this channel. So with that in mind, if the messages do resonate, it would mean the world to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. Keeping in mind that sometimes there are triggering things that do arise on these readings. However, there's no obligation to force it to fit. And keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out, what do you need to hear right now? And I'm so honored to be here with you guys. So what do you need to hear right now, pile number 2? Source, what would you like to bring forth for them? What do you need to hear right now, pile number 2? Source, what messages do you have for them today? I felt like there was a channeled message, but I think it's right there. It's like something's about to happen. It's not quite here yet, but it's about to happen. That's what it feels like. It's almost like you're about to push through the gate, or you're about to push through to a new timeline, or you're about to push through to something that you've been waiting to manifest. Okay, so we've got the 8th house. We've got Pisces energy in the South Node. There's something here that you're in the process of letting go of. Something that makes you feel worn out. Also something that's been affecting your ability to trust and rely on your intuition. You have a very keen intuition. Okay, you also might have some psychic abilities. I do feel like there's something here that it made you feel like you had to keep repeating something over again. Like, I have to go down this path because this is a path that gets me instantaneous results. But when I go down the path that I want to go down, I don't see those instantaneous results. And so I need to keep repeating this to get the instant results. And then once I get the results that I'm looking for, I'll do what I want to do. And that's what this feels like. It's an interesting cycle that I'm seeing here. And I see the desire to move away from that, but also the fear that if you move away from that, that what you truly want to do is not going to be received, or it's not going to be, people aren't going to like your ideas, or they're not going to praise you for what it is that you're doing, or they're not going to support you in the way that you need to be supported. The fear is what's on repeat right now. The fear of not being seen, not being heard, not being understood. This is the fear of a misplaced desire is what I heard right now. That's an interesting one. Okay. So you want something, and you're willing to do the hard work to get it. You're willing to go the distance and overcome what you need to overcome. But there's still a lot of fear and destruction that you're going up against here. You want to leave this legacy, but it feels too taboo. And there's some sort of transformation that's happening. That's why you're on the precipice of it. It's like it wants to come through, but it's not yet here right at this minute. It's on its way. And I know that sounds so frustrating sometimes, because it's like, well, it sounds like it's been on its way for forever. 444 is coming through for you as well. But what they're saying is that right now you had a lot of past life baggage that you had to put down. And that's one of them, is the fear of going towards what you actually want to go towards. So that sounds strange when you're doing something that you love. Let's just say you started your own business, right? And you realized that there was a need for something. You started your own business, and this is just an example, okay? But in starting your business, you were trying to put out the one thing that you saw people needed, but no one seemed to be responding to that. And so you kind of pivoted and you put out this other thing that seemed to be super popular, and everybody's coming to that. They're all coming to that. And you're like, well, but I know that the people need this service that I originally started my business for, but no one seems to be responding to it. And they're saying that to keep putting energy and effort into the part of you that wants to provide whatever this is. Right? It doesn't mean that you have to give up on the other one that's receiving attention, but you need to put more energy and effort into the other side of things, because it feels like that's what's going on the back burner, is something that means a lot to you, something that's very meaningful to you, right? So that could be a hobby. This could be a relationship. This could be wanting to apply for a new job. This could be anything, but that's the example that they're showing me right now. There's just a fear that's driving this right now. And that's a part of the old you. And that's what we're trying to close out, is that old version that has kept you feeling like you have to alter yourself in order to be accepted, which is not true. Because if the people around you are only accepting you when you do something that you don't want to do, those are not the people who are meant to be on your journey. The people who are meant to be on your journey, they're going to appreciate you as you are without any exceptions. All right, what do you need to hear right now, pile number 2? Yeah, I do feel like this has to do with some sort of monetary gain. It doesn't have to be, but that's really what I'm feeling like right now. This has been a battle of wits, a battle of like worry and fears and doubts. What do you need to hear right now? Interesting. Okay, what do you need to hear right now? Yeah. You've been manipulated into believing that you have to second guess yourself, or you have to, yeah, that you have to give up on what it is that you desire, because, you know, it's like this. Because they're saying what you want matters, but I feel like there's people here who have manipulated you into believing that who you are, what you desire, what you want doesn't matter. And there's a lot of self-sabotage here, but there's also this, I'm only chasing things for the money, for the bag, not because I actually enjoy doing it. That's the manipulation, is the bag itself. And it's been brought out from other situations in your past. Like, you know, maybe you've had to really struggle in your life, and so you don't want to go through that type of struggle again. And there's this fear that if I actually pour into this other part, or this other idea, or this other hobby, or this other thing that I want to do, that I'm not going to be moving forward in the way that I want to. And we never do. Pile 2, we never move forward in the way that we want to, but we do move forward in exactly the way that we're meant to, right? So sometimes it takes a long time, and there's no like quick fix to life. It's just we have to experience it as it comes, and that's the thing. And it's like, if you're seeing people who are an overnight sensation and you're trying to compare yourself and say like, that should be me, you're missing out on vital information that you need from your lessons, from your life, from your experiences. And so there's no comparison, because you don't know what that person who is a quote unquote instant success, or, you know, an instant recognized whatever, you know, you don't know what they went through. You don't know what was going on behind closed doors for that person. So you're only seeing this outwardly expression that is just so minuscule compared to their everyday lives, right? It's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that we don't see. There's so much more that's going on. And it feels like that's something that maybe you've been compared to others in your life. Like, you could have been compared to siblings. You could have been compared to family members. You could have been compared to, you know, other kids, other people. And this is something that leaves you feeling completely worn out and exhausted, and almost as if you can't even take action. it's like, I know I need to take action, but what's the point of taking action when it just seems like it's met with resistance every time? And what you're doing is every time you take action, you're basically telling that manipulation that has been there, you know, something that you've yourself have accepted as a part of your own journey. So the voice inside of you saying like, we can't do this because, or turning into the voice of the bullies that you had in your life, whatever that is, it's that internal response to the situation, to the fear that's arising. Every time you say, I'm going to try, I'm going to do what I want to do, I'm going to do what matters to me, then you're telling that manipulative voice, that manipulative instinct inside to basically go to HE double hockey stick. Get the heck out of here because we don't want you. But you see, you're facing this, right? As the Knight of Coins here, you're facing this, the Three of Wands in the reverse. And this is that energy where the focus, right? He's focused on his coin, but the focus is on the coin because of manipulation from the past. So someone convinced you that the only thing that mattered in life was the money. If you're not making the money, then you're not enough. You're not good enough. You're not worthy enough. You're a bum, or you're a burden, or your baggage, or whatever the situation is. That's an illusion. Money does not give you value, because technically money has no value. We just say that it has value. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure money is fabric. It's not necessarily paper. It's like part paper, part fabric. It's part paper, part fabric that we said it has this much value to it. Man said that. Humans said that. Women said that. Whatever you want to label it as. People have said that this thing has value. Well, I keep a $2 bill on my altar over here. So here, right? We're saying this has the value of $2. But it's written on there. If this had nothing on it, what would it be worth? Nothing. So how does this give you value? How does this give you worth? Because at the end of the day, if $1 million dropped into your bank account by the end of business day today, yeah, you'd be excited. You'd be feeling like you were on top of the world. But by the end of the week, if you hadn't have spent a huge portion of that on useless things because you are so excited you got this money, it feels like it'll never run out. You're realizing that buying all these things don't help you feel better about yourself. They don't help you feel better about the situation. You still feel worthless, even though you now have what everyone has deemed your worth in your bank account. So that's what it feels like here, is that you're fighting this belief that I need something. And it doesn't have to be money, but this could be external success. This could be external recognition. This could be, you know, getting a promotion. This could be anything like that. It's like every time that comes and goes and it doesn't pan out the way that you expected it to, or the way that you wanted it to, you're left feeling completely rotten and as though I cannot move. In fact, I do feel like you're dealing with a lot of neck pain right now, or a lot of neck stiffness, or at night you fall asleep in a weird position, and when you wake up, like your shoulders and your neck, like you're not able to move as fluidly as you normally do. It's because you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders right now. And it's the weight of a world that is technically an illusion, but has become a reality for you. And look, I'm not saying that we don't need money. What I'm saying is that we put money and success and fame and fortune, we put all these things into this golden bin and say, this is what life is all about. But it's not, because there are plenty of people who have all of those things and are still lacking, who still feel like they're completely worthless, who still feel like they don't have what they need. Look, I'm just going to give an example in here. I'm not going to say what happened, but for those of you who know, Kurt Cobain from Nirvana, right? Like a perfect example. Miserable. Absolutely miserable with his life. right? Look at Linkin Park, the lead singer of Linkin Park. I can't remember his name. People who had worldwide recognition. These are just an example. He still had so much going on internally. So whatever you receive externally is not going to give you a free pass from what's going on internally. And we see here that the actions that you've taken are based on a manipulation that's been there from early childhood. Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Yeah, oh my goodness. Well, so we have the Ten of Wands in the reverse. A responsibility that was never yours to take on. So this feels like Source is saying that some of you have had to take care of family. Like it was put on your shoulders to take care of family from the young age. So like by the time you turned 16, you were required by your family or forced by your family to go get a job, and you had to help pay the bills. Like you never had someone just help support you because you needed to be supported. If you weren't paying the bills, it was still this pressure. Like I keep seeing like this coming, like you have to do this. You have to have this money. You got to make sure this. Like beating it into your head that we have to have X, Y, Z. Otherwise you're a complete failure in life. Yeah. And this is what your emotional well-being has been based on this entire time, is actually responsibility that's not been yours to carry. So this is also unique and interesting too, because it feels like, Pile 2, you're actually healing from something that wasn't yours to heal from. And it's given you valuable information. And it's given you a means to find some sort of emotional stability. But it was never yours to heal from because it was something that other people forced in onto you to believe. And now when your body is trying to release that, it's trying to let go of that, you're still holding on to it because it's so deeply ingrained in you, other than just coming into this place. And it's not just realizing it, it's relearning the belief. So what is it that matters to you? And is it money? And if it's not money, what is it that matters to you? And really pouring into that. It's finding the things that matter to you and pouring back into those and saying, you know, money is just a tool. Money actually has no value. It's something we use. We trade paper for services, right? When you change the way you look at it, you get to change the way it feels in your life. It's like reframing the narrative here. All right, let's see what else comes out for you, Pile 2. Yeah, Pluto, transformation. You'd have Scorpio highly aspect in your chart. You could have Scorpio in the second house. You could have Pluto in the second house. Okay. Sure, we're going to go with that. You could also have some predominantly Scorpio placements in your chart. Also, you could have been born during a Pluto retrograde is coming through as well. But we have transform here. Okay, so there's a lot of transformation, but what you're transforming is taking actions based on a false narrative, which has become reality. Even if I say it's a false narrative, at the end of the day, it's still become your reality. So it's a real thing. It's not that, oh my gosh, like, just because you said it's fake, then I could just let it go. It's just, it's a false illusion that you've bought into because it's been said over and over again. And there's been situations that have arisen that have made you believe that that's true, which is fine. But you are now in a position where you get to reframe that. And then as you start to reframe that, the more you reframe that, like every day when those feelings arise and you remind yourself money is just a tool. Again, this is just the example that they keep giving me. It doesn't have to be money. It could be anything. But I just feel so strongly that it's money because I kept feeling money while I was shuffling. Money, money, money. And money, 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 right? So they're saying just to reframe that. So every time, like when you spend money, saying, you know, I'm so grateful that Source gives me all the money that I need to take care of my bills and still have some left over. I'm so grateful that Source is helping me to do acts of self-care when I take myself out to eat. Or I'm so grateful that Source is giving me extra income this month so that I can treat myself to something nice. Or I'm so grateful that Source has ensured that I have a roof over my head and a bed to put my head to sleep at night. It's like reframing the way you see these things that take money, or these things that you're looking to have as wealth or fame or whatever in your life. It's reframing how you're looking at that. Instead of that being, I'm only going to be worth something if insert situation, saying I'm already enough as I am right now. I'm already worth everything as I am right now. So like just reframing that. We have Taurus here with trust, patience, and sensuality. This is not something that's going to happen overnight, pile 2. Okay, what you need to know right now is this is not going to happen tomorrow if you do this today. But through consistent effort, patience, you will feel a shift and you will feel a change, and you will realize you're letting go of a belief that was never yours to hold on to begin with. So there is a loosening here. Inner integration. Okay, so this could be the mother wound, but we see this as a generational curse here with this card coming out. Okay, it says there is peace, equilibrium, and fulfillment in integrating the inner wild with the taming and tempering effect life has on it. Letting yourself be more free when it comes to your money. It feels like maybe you penny pinch, or maybe you're holding on to something so tightly. So this could be an outcome. Like maybe you want a certain position in life, or you want something to be successful. You're holding on to that. Or it could be a relationship or love situationship. You're holding on to the outcome and you're not letting it unfold as it needs to. And it's like holding on to the outcome, holding on to it so tightly is what's suffocating it. But there's the fear of letting it go. And we had relationship patterns come out here with 32. It takes strength to recognize the need for change. And I feel like this is a very powerful card to come out for your reading, pile 2, because not only are we looking at this could be generational curses, right? This could be generational patterns that need changing, but it's also tied in directly with a lot of the relationships that you've had in your life. The way you show up has been based on this feeling of insignificance when that's not the truth. You are a significant being. We have love endures with 43. Love does not give up or lose faith. Love is hopeful and withstands every situation. So coming back to loving yourself fully, unconditionally, and having full acceptance for yourself in this moment is going to help you relinquish that hold on whatever it is that has been making you feel this way. Release, autumnal equinox. Yeah, release, to let go. No one tells the leaves to fall. The seasons change. They change. And the leaves know it's time to let go. They just know. You can't tell a leaf, you better hold on, otherwise that's it for you. The leaf just knows this is the cycle. This is how it goes. So whatever this is, it's the cycle. Is it the end of the cycle? For some. For others, no. But rather than looking at if it's the end or not, come into that space of knowing this is just the change. This is the shift. This is the transformation that's coming. And it's okay. It's okay to go through that. Purpose. Yeah. I know what I'm here to do. So you know what you want to do. You know what your purpose is. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like you're sacrificing your purpose and what you've been called to do for views, for likes, for subscribes, for more people to connect with you that might not necessarily be the right people for you, for money, for recognition, for fame, whatever it is. It's like you're sacrificing something here for what the world says looks like success. Resolution. Whatever it is that you've been struggling with is about to be resolved. Didn't I say that at the beginning? That was a channel message. It's on the precipice. Remember that resolutions don't always happen in the way we hope or want, but being able to move forward and start fresh always brings relief. So holding no expectations here. That's the best way to not get hurt or burned because of our expectations. You know, we're holding expectations over something. We're saying it has to be XYZ. I feel like this card wants to come out first. We have peace. I love this message. Peace is inner tranquility. Don't sweat the small stuff. Look at everything with a calm mind. Life won't always be smooth sailing, and peace will keep you calm through the ups and the downs. Inner peace is my goal. Why do I see Kung Fu Panda right now when Sifu was like trying to meditate, and the whole time he's like, inner peace, inner peace, inner peace. And then of course Poe kept, like, Poe's face kept popping up all over the place about food, about this, about that, about that. And he's like, ah! That's life. That's life. That's what old people say, right? But we have to give ourselves the space to let the chaos ensue so that we can come back to the stillness. Sometimes our minds aren't going to be quiet, right? I've been meditating every day for 8 years. Every day. At least a half an hour a day. Let me tell you, I still have days when chaos ensues and my monkey mind is running around and I can't get it settled no matter how hard I try. And then there are other days when I feel like I've only been in meditation for a minute because it's done and over with like that. What I've learned, though, is that we can't compare our best days to our worst days, but rather we can just allow all days to be as they're going to be, because that's what it's going to be anyways. Women supporting women. So again, look, the 4 women and the 4 women here. So this could be a mother wound here, or you could be like a single mom, or your mom was a single mom. You don't have to be a woman. You could be a man. You could be whatever you identify with. None of that really matters. But what I'm saying is here is like, this came down from the mother's line. And I felt that when I saw this card with the inner integration, especially with women supporting women. We have together we can transcend our individual limitations. So this could have been where you came from a family of women who supported the men, or like you don't know what it is to have a stable relationship with a partner, whether you're, with a man or with a woman or with a person, whatever that is. You don't know what it is to have stability in connection, in relationship to one another, because there's always been one person who's had to go out of their way to make everything else right for everybody else. And so you're learning to put that down, right? Letting go of that need to have control over everything, to let your radiance shine with summer solstice here. Okay, so this is about coming into that place of brilliance and taking action for yourself, not for everybody else. There's a guilt that's underlying here. Like, I have to do this for my family, or I have to do this for my mom, or I have to do this for whoever I'm taking care of. I have to do this for so-and-so in my life. But at the end of the day, if you do this for those people and they're not grateful for what you've done, there's going to be resentment. And even if they are grateful for what you've done, there's still resentment, because there's that feeling of like, I don't have the freedom to be who I am. But what if all along you're the only one that's been putting limitations on you from that freedom? You really are free, but it's using everything and everyone around you as a reason not to be free because of that generational curse, the South Node energy here. Patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order, and stop trying to rush things here, right? There's no need to rush through to some end result. It's about opening up and letting things happen as they're going to happen. That's where your true power comes from. So we're going to take a look at this card, and I'm going to read this from the book. We have a gift of laughter. Look at how beautiful this card is. Oh my gosh, I love this little Pegasus on here. So freaking cute with this pink coming back to that lighthearted energy. Right? You've been living life so seriously. So seriously. And I feel like for many of you, whether you're divine masculine, divine feminine, non-binary, whatever it is, I feel like for many of you, you've forgotten what it means to just have fun and have pleasure in life and to have a good time. I cannot make this up. I just flipped open right to it. Wow. So that's just really telling here. It's because it's saying, coming back to that place of letting yourself just have fun. What made you laugh as a kid? Is it going to make you laugh as an adult now? And if not, why? What's going to make you laugh now? It says the fairy gift of laughter to lighten the day and bring you the blessings of mirth and revelry. Laughter is a blessing directly from the fairy. They are deeply serious beings, and yet they know how to laugh and to play and to find humor in every troubling time, to understand how to lighten the load that we all can carry. Let this blessing of fairy laughter and joy be yours this day. May there be moments that see you tickled with a smile playing around your lips. May clean, free-spirited fun be yours, making fun of none but having fun and finding the sense of ridiculousness in all situations that at times take themselves so seriously. They need a little levity. May you smile and laugh. May your eyes twinkle. May you find others to laugh with. May humor and its bright blessings work their magic. For when there is laughter, bright blessings work their magic. For when there is laughter, pure good-hearted laughter, it lightens the load of all around you and helps you do the serious work that must be done, as you have found a way through the stifling properness of the world. Fairies do not play by the same rules as humans. They find humor and joy within so many situations and are able to blast through the stiffness and the pomposity of so much in the human world. So let their laughter ring through your life like fairy bells. Let yourself laugh deeply, wildly, freely, and know that this joy and this sense of delight is a blessing straight from their wild and free world to yours this day. Blessings of fairy laughter to you, friend. Wow, when was the last time you had a good old belly laugh? Stitches in your side belly laugh. And how can you recreate that today, even if it's just choosing to laugh for the sake of laughing? You ever laugh with a friend? Like, you giggle, and then your friend giggles, and then you laugh, and then your friend laughs, and then before you know it, you're both laughing so hard you can't even breathe. Like, somebody's got to run to the bathroom, like, oh my, I'm about to pee my pants, I gotta laugh so hard, you know what I mean? Like, that's what this feels like. It's like, do that with yourself. Giggle. Let yourself giggle a little more. Let yourself laugh some more. Let yourself just really just bust out laughing, and let your sides hurt. Just dig in and let it be. What a beautiful message. I know you're going through it, but you're on the other side, right? You're on the other side. Now there's just that waiting period. Be patient as things happen for you. So this is what I see here for you. If you feel like this is your reading, I'm just going to say, put the unicorn. I know there's not a Pegasus, so put the unicorn emoji down below and say, today I choose to make laughter, play, and fun a priority in my life. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angels, source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this truly powerful message today, Pile 2. And until next time, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with the 11th house on it, or if you were called to this grape agate, or perhaps you were drawn to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be your reading on what do you need to hear right now. First off, we are all here sharing this human experience together, and this is a safe space to show up as your highest, most aligned, loving, authentic self. We do things differently here on this channel, so with that in mind, if the messages do resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. Keeping in mind that sometimes there will be triggering things that do arise on the readings. There's no obligation to force it to fit. And also, triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. I'm truly honored to be here with you to give you this reading today. So let's go ahead and hop in and find out, what do you need to hear right now, pile number 3? Source, what messages do you have for pile number 3? Pile 3, what do you need to hear right now? Okay, so we've got the 4th house, we have Gemini, and we have Uranus coming out. So you could actually have Aquarius placements highly aspect in your chart. You could have Uranus in Aquarius as well. Or the 7th house in Aquarius is coming through, the 8th house in Gemini. The North Node in Pisces or Virgo. Okay. Right, so what do you need to hear right now? There's been a lot going on when it comes to your home situation. This could be, with family. This could just be your housing situation in general. This could be worrying about housing situation. But I do feel like the thing is that there's something that's going to arise soon and you're going to adapt. There's a huge change. It's going to be a sudden change. Now, I cannot tell you what that is. If that's a loss of a house, loss of income. If that's a gain of a house, a gain of income. I don't know what that is, but source is saying there's a huge sudden shift that's happening in your life right now when it comes to your home environment. You could be moving. You could be relocating jobs. You could be having to, downsize. You can upgrade. There's a lot of information that's coming in right now, and they're saying not to worry about it because you are so adaptable. You are able to fluidly move in and out of situations at the drop of a dime. But I do feel like just knowing or feeling like there's something that's about to shift in your life, it could bring with it a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry. Especially if throughout your life you haven't had something that's been stable. So you could have moved a lot when you were a kid. You could have been in the military, or a military family. Like you could have had a mother or father who was in military and you guys were always moving because they got stationed in different countries or different states. And so you never had that sense of stability when it came to the home. And that's what made you so good at being able to change. But I also feel like that set you up for a lot of disappointments in life and a lot of feeling like you didn't have an opportunity to build your tribe close to home or to have friends in your life that you could look, forward to seeing all the time or connect with in life, sharing certain memories with. But you also are someone who is able to make a lot of friends very quickly with people. And part of that comes from that instability because you're able to, I just heard you're able to morph into the situation. I don't know if any of you read Animorphs, if you know what that is. I do not remember who wrote the novels, but it's a young adult series. They're called Animorphs, and that's, for some reason, I got the one where one of the main characters, he's an Animorph and he turns into a hawk, and he is very looked up to and everything, but that's the one that I was thinking of when I heard it. It was so funny. But you could be someone who just sees things from a much higher perspective, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you feel comfortable when these things happen. You just know that, okay, well, the change is here and I'm going to have to adapt. And so just being honest with yourself when those moments arrive and continuing to see things from a higher perspective, like realizing that this is all part of the journey. And at times it can very much feel like a burden, but also at times it can feel like a grand adventure. So that was interesting. That may resonate with someone too, or maybe your kids read Animorphs. I don't know. They're really old books. It doesn't mean that they're any less good. They were really good when I was growing up. It's been a long time since I've read them. I wish I could remember who wrote them, but I do not. All right. And it's funny because I have not even thought about those books in probably 20 years. So, for pile number 3, Source, what messages do you have for them? Pile number 3, what do you need to hear right now? I feel like you've learned how to become stable in situations that were less than stable. Like where most people are looking to find approval from others, people just naturally gravitate towards you. But I do feel like there's a sense of loss or a sense of something being unsettled here because of that. Feeling like when you do get settled into a situation, there's this feeling that something's always going to happen that's going to keep you from having stability in the way that you're looking for stability. Like if you move a lot, maybe your idea of stability is having a forever home, right? And every time you feel like you've gotten into your forever home, it feels like something bad is just around the corner. There's something lurking. What do you need to know right now, pile 3? Whoa. Yeah, okay. This is something that you are dealing with, though, and you are healing it as we speak. Like, this is something that every time that you move and you come at it with this mindset that it's okay, like, it'll be just fine. This is not the end of the world. You're facing that part of yourself, but it doesn't mean that it's any less exhausting. One second. My dog, she wants on the couch and I have to help her. She is not a spring chicken anymore, and so she cannot jump, which is hard for her because when she was a pup, she used to be able to jump 6 feet straight up in the air, and now she has a hard time just climbing onto the couch or even climbing up the stairs. Aging dogs. And they're a beautiful thing that we get to experience. Yeah, it just feels like that this is something that you've had to do a lot of, and I feel like maybe even times you manifested this into your life where you wanted a change, you needed a change. You could have Sagittarius placements highly aspect in your chart as well. Sag rising, Sagittarius in the 4th house, Sagittarius in the 6th house, Sagittarius in the 9th house energy. But it feels like no matter what, even when you still manifest this, there's still those elements of stress. There's still those elements of exhaustion that come in. There's still those elements of like, I know that this is what I wanted, but... And yet at the same time, it is helping you find inner stability within yourself. And so even if you're still wanting that forever home or that forever workplace or that forever relationship, like whatever it is that's having you change constantly, it does feel like locations, especially with the 4th house here, because when we think about cancers are they're habitual creatures, right? Like to have Cancer highly aspect in your chart, you're going to be very habitual in that area and you want things to remain the same. And when we have the roots, this is where our roots are with the 4th house. This is where we grow roots at. And it feels like you've never been able to grow roots somewhere. Like even if you've been in the same town, it feels like you've moved from different places in town, and that's okay, right? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe it's jobs. Maybe you move jobs really often. Like it's hard for you to find a place where you feel like you belong, or maybe it's only seasonal, or maybe, you get hired on and then in a couple months the place closes down and you closed out a lot of jobs, right? That's what this feels like though. It feels like there's something that you feel like, okay, this is it. I finally found it. This is my forever insert situation. And then something happens and it feels like it all falls apart. And that's what Source is saying. Something is sudden that's going to change again coming up. But what this is doing is it's helping you to really release those fears and worries and to help purge your subconscious from holding on to the outcome or holding on to the worry, holding on to the anxiety that comes from that. It's a very unique situation here. On the bottom, we have the 2 coins in the reverse. There's been a lot of twists and turns in your life, but you've learned how to handle them beautifully. You have learned how to show up and take it as it is. And I feel like Source is just reminding you that when you lean into that honest, adaptable part of yourself, it's not to adapt so that other people are comfortable with you. It's not to change yourself so that other people feel better. This is literally about letting yourself be who you are and leaning into that adaptability when things do change. That's creating stability in your own life in that moment. And that's what has given you this ability to take things as they come. Not everybody is capable of doing that, pile 3. In fact, there's a lot of people who, the minute that change arises, that their whole life gets turned upside down, they freak out, they can't handle it, they're overcome with fear, they're overcome with doubt, they're overcome with worry. And I feel like while those things do exist in your psyche at the time that change does happen, it's not an overbearing feeling. It's not completely wiping you out, because there's still that sense of hope underneath that we've done this before. We're going to get through it. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to make it through the change. But we do see here with the Ten of Swords in the reverse that this is something that has been emotionally exhausting for you, and you're ready to just find that place that you belong, where you can put roots, where you can build a family, or where you can have that stable relationship, or where you can build your career and have that position where you can climb the totem pole. And I feel like those are definitely prayers that are being answered at this time. Source is telling you that there is still a little bit of change that's coming for you in the future, because there's still circumstances here that you're dealing with. This could be family with the Eight of Cups here. This could be family that you're dealing with, but this could also just be that this is family, right? With the 4th house, this is family that has dealt with this same situation for a long time because of a childhood trauma or because of a childhood wound, but also because there might be just a lot of immature people involved, people who don't see the value of coming at this with a sound mind, or coming at this with being able to take action in a clear way that's going to help the whole, the community, right? So with the family card here, this is somebody, or this is a group of people that are creating chaos, and that's why you have to keep changing. It's almost like that idea of you either step up or step off. And Source has got you in this energy now where it's like you're stepping up, and therefore you're also the one that's stepping off, because that's just where your life's at right now. You have to go to these certain places. You have to close out certain cycles. You have to let go of certain beliefs. And so what's happening right now is that Source is filling your arsenal of magic tricks, if you will, with more powerful abilities, with your ability to manifest better, your ability to discern, your ability to think clearly, your ability to feel clearly, your ability to be present with all situations. It doesn't make it any less exhausting, but it does give you the tools that you need in order to face what is coming for future changes, because change is the only consistent that exists in this life. And that's not going to go away. Even if you do find your roots wherever it is you're looking for roots at, that's still not going to go away. There's still always going to be changes that arise in those situations, but you're going to have a much better stance of where you're coming from and how you want to show up in those situations, rather than letting those situations kind of jumble you around like a pinball in a pinball machine, right? Now you have some sense of not necessarily control over the situation, but control over yourself when that comes up. And this has to do with letting go of subconscious patterns and emotional trauma that's been holding on to you for any amount of time. And it is frustrating, but it's also freeing because you know that once you get through this, then there's going to be a sense of vitality that comes back to you that helps to counteract this feeling of the emotional burden that's been on your shoulders. So let's see here. What else for pile number 3, source? Sextile. Yeah, look, a combination of tension and flow. Potential in a rewarding situation. So this has been a very tense situation, but at the same time, every time I feel like you've had to move, every time I feel like you've had to switch it up or to change, you've gained certain clarity that you would not have otherwise gained. And that's the potential. That's the reward that you're receiving. That's why I'm saying it's like Source is filling up your magic bag with tricks that you wouldn't have otherwise had. And these are tricks of where you're going to be able to discern what people are, feeling or where they're coming from, tapping into your intuition, knowing what's the right path for you. And the moment is going to come for you, pile 3, where you do feel like you belong. It is. It's part of your journey. Right now, you're just in a period of spiritual growth. You're evolving. You're actually the one that's changing. And because you're changing, that's why your environment is changing so much around you right now with spiritual growth here, house 9. So it's not a bad thing that you're changing. In fact, the shifts that you're making great strides in your life. But the other thing to keep in mind here is that those changes internally are naturally going to force an external change, because as within, so without, as above, so below, or as below, so above, or as above, so below, right? So it's like whatever we're seeing outside of us is a product of what's going on inside of us. So if we're changing internally, that means that eventually the outside world will catch up to us and it will start to change. And that's what's been happening here. Yeah, look at this. We have circles. Right? Clarity begins in the eye of the storm. So these are the cycles that you're clearing out. These are things that are coming to a close. Especially if you've been dealing with very immature people. This could be an immature lover. This could be someone who is just very, I'm getting this energy where it's like they want all the attention on them. And so they do their best to bother you, to bug you, to get your attention. But then the minute that you turn your attention on them, they're totally uninterested. So it's like this hot and cold kind of energy here. And I feel like this is also someone who could just only be in it for the sex. Like they're not in it because they want a relationship with you. They're only in it because, you're good in bed and that's it. That's all they want. They just want to, hit it and quit it, but they want to keep coming back for that same energy. All right. So yeah, on the bottom, look, emotional energy, exactly what I was saying. This is emotional purging. So emotions are messengers to be met with appropriate attention, action, and gratitude. So that's what's happening right now. That's why things are shifting in your energy. It's because you're clearing out emotions that no longer serve a purpose on your journey. Emotions that are tied to certain triggers, emotions that are tied to certain actions, emotions that have been driving you, whatever it is, there's this essence of letting go that is the basis for the major changes in your life. But through that, you're learning so much about yourself. And that's why you're also exhausted, is because, it's like getting the chi moving. We talk about that sometimes in yoga, and also if you take Tai Chi or anything like that, they talk about the chi, the life force, the moving force within us. And when we have a blockage, the emotional blockages, it's an energetic block in our system. We talk about it with the chakras as well. But if there's an energetic block, it's like the life force stops moving at that block. And so if you're letting go of a block, you're releasing that. Now the energy starts moving. Well, it's going to first be exhausting because it's something that you haven't had for a while, but later it brings with it life. It brings with it vitality and energy. Okay, so I guess you're getting 2 of these. We have you are limitless. You can do anything you choose. So opening up to the possibilities here. That's where stability is for you. letting life be as life is, and realizing that you're the one that controls your outcome. We have do something for someone, give your attention to another. This is interesting that this will come out after I was talking about how this person wants all your attention, but then the minute you give it to them, they're hot and cold. So then they like, it's like, I want to draw you in, but the minute I draw you in, I'm checking out, because I deserve your attention. So with this, give your attention to another, they're saying there's someone else that you can focus on at this time. Is there something else that you can pour into at this time? Because this other person or this situation, it's all it's trying to do is distract you. And the more it distracts you, the more it feels like it's winning. And so the only way for you to counteract that is to find things to do that fill your cup back up. So hobbies, self-care, entertainment, learning, whatever it is that makes you feel good, or people and friends in your life that are on the same vibrational level as you. Okay. Rest and relaxation is essential. We'll all have a fundamental need to take a break, and know that at this time, if you're feeling extra tired, that's okay. There's nothing wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just letting go of stuck energy that's been stuck for so long. And now it's going to bring with it exhaustion, because it's like, when think about it, if you go, okay, hold on, let me start over. There's this times in yoga when we're laying in Shavasana, and right before we get to the actual act of Savasana, which is to rest, right? Sometimes one of the teachers that I practice with, she'll have us tense up our entire body as tight as we can and hold our breath tight, 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 as tight as you can. And then you let it go. And when you let it go, it's almost like overwhelming, right? Because you're relieved. You're like, oh my gosh, I can breathe again. Like, whoa, that was so intense. It's so intense. But doing that 3 or 4 times before you go into Shavasana, actually, it makes you be so present with Shavasana, you really truly rest. And the reason for Shavasana is to have that rest after that period of tension or activity or flow. And that's because our body is now integrating what it has learned, whether that's through the chaos or through the trauma or through whatever. It's like our body is now integrating all of that into its system, and it's going to catalog it in the way that works best for our body and for our soul and our spirit. And so before, it was cataloging it as, this needs to be tension, this needs to be tension, this needs to be tension, this needs to be tension. And so now you're cataloging it as, it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go. It's okay to let go. And as you're letting go, your body is now like, oh my gosh, I've been so tense for so long, and I'm so tired. So when your body asks you to rest, rest. We have purification with rain. Yeah, you're purifying yourself. And the rain, again, representing our emotions. So you're purifying your emotional state, your emotional well-being here. You're learning something deeper about yourself, and you're letting go of holding on to, either there's a someone with this page of wands here, or it's an entire family, because the 8 of cups is here. And what we're seeing is this energy of recognizing that they don't hold a candle in your life like they thought they did, or maybe at some time like you thought they did. Yeah, so you're embracing your power. You're not letting them have power over you any longer. And it's interesting because we get all these water energies, right? Like, look at the ocean here, and then the rain here, and the lightning, the thunderstorm type energy. So it's like going through the storm. Didn't it say this card is in the eye of the storm? And then we have, yeah, so with the moon. So this one talks about the eye of the storm. You have the storm, you have the rain, you have the moon. All these emotional cards, they're very emotionally charged. And so you've been emotionally charged for a long time. And holding on to that has created so much tension. And you're about to release that. And in releasing that, that's maybe what the change is. Maybe with the changes, or maybe that's something you've done to keep yourself protected and safe from all of these changes that you've been through. And in the release, there's going to be a period where you're going to have to draw within and really rest. You know, with the lightning, it talks about how the thunder does not exist without the lightning. It's a very dualistic energy, right? And so you need one for the other to exist. And so you've been through all this tension, you've been through all this chaos so that you could know, understand, and appreciate peace. Interesting. This card flipped over even though it didn't want to, but then it did. And so we have forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. So you're coming into this state of forgiveness. And I feel like it's forgiveness on many levels. Forgiveness of others, yes. Forgiveness of self. And just forgiveness of whatever is lingering, right? Whatever. It's just saying, I'm just done. I'm done holding on to it. I can't hold on to it anymore. And in letting go, you are giving yourself an opportunity to start afresh. Yeah, indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. So maybe this lack of forgiveness has kept you in a state of indecision. And look, we have change underneath that. Wow. Yeah, so... oh my gosh, that's the thing. And now things are changing and you're choosing to be decisive. You're choosing yourself in a situation that is otherwise challenging for you to choose yourself, or has been challenging for you to choose yourself. But now you're not holding on to that anymore. You're saying enough is enough. This is for me to choose myself because I deserve to choose myself. We're going to get a Cashapp message here. Effectively. Doing things effectively. Find the right way to do it. Give it your all, and you will see results. Every effective action is a step towards success. So you're effectively letting go of those emotions. You're effectively letting go of whatever it was that was holding you back. Don't freak out. Pay close attention to the people in your life, your surroundings, and your physical health. Don't freak out. It's just a warning to be careful and awake to avoid any further issues. Communicate clearly and keep healthy boundaries. Yeah, so you've learned so much. This is a time to keep healthy boundaries. Don't rest on your laurels is what I'm getting with this card. So we're going to take a look at this card. I'm going to read this one from the book. We're going to see what she has to say. Wow, we have a blessing of the butterfly queen. Transformation. Look at how beautiful this card is. Oh, what a I love the fairies. I wish there were more fairy cards, but whatever. There's not. Okay. It says, I can't make this up. The fairy gift of graceful change and transfiguration. That's what it says right there. See it? Wow. To you is granted the fairy gift of transformation and change. Your life is rebecoming, and all obstacles will be broken through until you take flight into the life you have recreated so courageously. The fairies are gifting you with all you need to move through a time of great expansion, change, growth, and tumult with integrity, grace, and tenacity. Your time to be reborn is approaching, and the Butterfly Queen will be with you as you transform and reshape your life. As you change, even as you struggle at times, you will inspire and grow and rework your life in magical ways. The ancient caretakers of the planet are the Fae, and their presence will be with you as you transform. You have beauty, and your presence will be bright and joyful, bringing so much to others, but most of all, bringing a deep contentment and fulfillment to yourself. Focus on all you wish to see grow and become more at this time, and know with great and firm conviction that you are blessed and beloved and precious human child. Wow, I think that's actually one of the shortest cards in here. But it doesn't really need to be longer than that. It's just, there's such a change that's coming in your life right now. And I feel like you're used to the change, but the change that's coming is going to be a very pleasant surprise, because it's going to bring with it something that you've really hoped for, a manifestation of some kind, but I also feel like a sense of freedom that you've been praying for a really long time. Okay, So what a beautiful reading for you, Pile 3. I'm actually really excited for you. And if you felt like this was your reading, leave the little butterfly emoji down below and say, I embrace the change and I adapt and grow in ways that were once only a dream. And if it resonated with you, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that, I would like to take this moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angels, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this incredibly powerful message today. I'm giving you guys a big, big, big energetic hug. Oh, and really quickly, if you watched all 3 piles, leave a purple heart down below. That's a part of my Purple Heart Club. I know what that means, and I thank you for your time today. And with that, until next time, stay human. Bye.